It can be said educators have the chance to touch the lives of every student who walks into their classroom. And tonight we'll be talking about one educator whose reach went beyond projects, coursework, and grades. But his retirement is fast approaching. Kent Connect's Ian Klein joins us now with more on this influential professor.
Thank you, Paige. Kent State University may be known for its fashion school and nursing program, but also has one of the top journalism schools in the state. But the School of Journalism would not be the same if it weren't for one particular professor. Words to describe him are dedicated, wonderful, unique, and intelligent. Professor Gary Hanson has been teaching at Kent State for almost 20 years, during which he has created new courses, taken students on trips around the world, and influenced the student-led television station here on campus. He has spent his time educating and preparing young journalists for careers in an industry that he spent almost 25 years in himself. His career in journalism started long before Ohio, all the way in North Dakota, as a weekend anchor and eventually a news director. But this wasn't a journey he would be taking alone, because as it is said, all good things come in pairs. And all good things must come to an end, as Gary plans to leave the university for his retirement. We now take you at a look inside of Franklin Hall for this iconic Kent State journalism professor as he prepares to sign off on his career.
Your first video, and then you put the first lower third in.
This is International Storytelling, a class that takes students across the globe to report on international issues. These students just got back from Cyprus and today are finishing their final edits on their stories. Students are receiving feedback from their professor, Gary Hanson. However, this is the last time Gary will be assisting his students in their final edits. After 17 years of teaching, Gary is retiring. Lauren Stebleton, one of Gary's students, is finalizing her project on music in Cyprus. She says Gary was great on their trip overseas and has impacted her as an aspiring journalist.
He was just so helpful with me on just like kind of the structure of the story, what it should entail, and overall he just is great, and I'm sad to see him go.
I can help you with that.
As a lover of traveling himself, Gary knows the impact traveling can have on students.
The ability to see a bit of the world and to see that there's a world outside of this immediate area, I think changes your perspective on everything. It really is a big honor to be a part of this because
Not only has Gary given students more opportunities in the classroom, but also on television. Gary made his way to the studio for the final time on Tuesday to watch and critique the 5:30 newscast. His hard work was recognized in 2011 when he was awarded the Distinguished Teaching Award, and recently honored by former students and faculty at the JMC retirement ceremony. The director of School of Journalism and Mass Communication and longtime friend, Thor Wasbaden, was at the ceremony and says he is still not quite sure how he will fill the void once Gary leaves.
I think waking up that next day, it's trying to figure out how to maintain momentum without two people who have helped us get here to this point.
scroll down a little bit.
Gary isn't the only asset the JMC school is losing. His wife, Louette, will also be retiring from the university at the end of the semester. Louette Hanson is the Associate Dean of the College of Communication and Information, a position she has held for 14 years. The couple sat down with me in the TV2 studio, a station they both had advised during their time here at Kent, to talk about where their story began. You guys finally met in Mitchell, South Dakota. Yeah. She said you guys were both dating different people.
Oh, what did you tell him? I'll have you tell this story.
We were both
This is 40 years ago.
both leaving long-distance relationships. We'd moved away from the people that we were dating, and those relationships didn't survive the separation. And there we were, colleagues working together on the newscast every night. We got invited to station parties and saw each other there, and then we started dating each other.
And I think, you know, in addition to everything else, we're just each other's best friend. I mean, I think that the fact that we just started out as buddies, we're kind of each other's kindred spirit. You know, I can't think of anything of significance that I've done in my life since I met you that you haven't been a part of.
One of those significant events was when Gary and Louette moved to Youngstown. Gary continued his journalism career at WKBN with Louette by his side, where he started as an executive producer and worked his way up to news director. While at WKBN, Gary met and worked with many journalists, but one person he worked closely with was Mona Alexander. She is now the news director at WFMJ, where she has hired many of Gary's students. Mona says it is what she learned from Gary that made her a better journalist.
His wife, his spiritual beliefs, and his profession are the three things that are the most important to him. And he has chosen to take a third of his life and define himself by being a good journalist. And I think that that is extremely critical to him. And that is what has led him through the journey that he's on right now. And we're all better for it.
After 18 years in Youngstown at WKBN, Gary decided to join Louette at Kent State, graduating with his master's degree. Gary joined the teaching staff right around the same time Jeff Fruit became the director of the School of Journalism and Mass Communication. Jeff says it's during those Hanson minutes that the great ideas come to life.
You know what's going to happen when Gary says, got a minute? It's not going to be a minute. It's going to be something really long, but also something really interesting. Because Gary is one of those people who's always generating ideas, and even better, he loves somebody else coming with an idea, and I think gets his greatest pleasure from helping other people get stuff done. And so I always enjoyed those Hanson minutes, as we call them, because great stuff often resulted from that.
Jeff said Gary was able to make the transition from the professional field to becoming a great teacher and even a better scholar. It was during his time as a professor that Gary met CNN's Carol Costello. Costello is one of the successful Kent State alum that Gary got to work with here at Kent State. I sat down with Costello in New York City, where she described Gary as a teacher who has it all.
He's so knowledgeable, and he generously imparts that to so many students. Like, not a lot of people take the time to impart their knowledge in a way that's positive and helpful and nurturing. And I think he has all of that.
Gary put in countless hours of teaching and guiding students each semester, helping aspiring young journalists find their voice. And just as he was at the top of the mountain of his teaching career, Gary received the news no one ever expects to hear. He had cancer.
You have a mass. That's the euphemism for it. And
But those were the exact words.
yeah.
What was the thought initially when you hear that?
I think we were both just dumbstruck. We weren't expecting that at all.
That really changes your life. I mean, it changes it dramatically. I mean, at that point when they started talking about just how serious this was, there was some real doubt about that.
Gary was diagnosed in 2013 with a rare form of prostate cancer. It is a chronic form of cancer and has forced Gary into chemotherapy. The process has not been easy, but through each treatment, he always had Louette by his side.
We're going to live life as best we can and as full as we can while we can.
For years, the pictures of students at graduation have filled the walls in Gary's office. And now, each picture will serve as a reminder of all the lives that both Gary and Louette have impacted during their time here at Kent State.
What I want to take away are people like you, really bright students who I've had a chance to help develop some skills. That's what I hope my legacy is.
All right, Ian, so I know that you've been talking with Gary, so do you have any idea how he's doing or what any plans for that him and Louette have after their retirement?
You know, Gary has been good. He is going to be in and out of chemotherapy probably for most of the remainder of his life. But they have been in good spirits. They plan on traveling together and enjoying the time that they finally have. That's their biggest love. They love traveling the world. They've been able to do it a lot with students with international storytelling. But now this is the time that they can take and enjoy their time together and finally travel the world and just see things and get things done that they want to do together.
It's so great that they get to go to so many different places. But you
It is.
even traveled with Gary and Louette.
Yes.
And you know him really well. You've had him as a professor. So what are you going to take away, like in your career and in your life from having them?
You know, doing this story, I knew Gary was someone who has impacted my life and someone in the journalism career that impacted all of our lives. Both him and Louette, I spent time with them in New York City, and I want them to all know how much we all do love them very much, and we wish them the best in their retirement. And I know that I'll take the theme of always natural sound with Gary Hanson. So we always love those Hanson minutes very, very much.
All right, well, thank you so much, Ian. This concludes this year's Kent Connects News Magazine. You can rewatch this program at www.kentwire.com or www.tv2ksu.com. From all of us at Kent Connects, thank you for watching.